What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we are taking a look at Holotype. Holotype is a paleontology game. I want to say it's a dinosaur game, but the reality is it's not really about dinosaurs that are alive. It is about studying dinosaur fossils, but it's a really cool worker placement game where you're going to be placing workers, collecting cubes to basically pay off the costs of some of these dino cards. They have the costs in the top left corner, and when you have enough cubes you can pay for them, and then you have goals that you're trying to meet. And basically, if you can meet all of your goals, whoever has the most points at the end wins. And there's a tracker that keeps track of how many dinosaurs. There's two ways that the game can end. One is when two of the three global objective cards are met, and the global objectives have three little objectives on them. When you complete two of those cards, the game ends. Or if you go down this dinosaur track over here, the field advancement track, that'll end the game. And so let me talk about the game and let you guys know what I thought about it. One part at a time, though. So basic gist of the game is, like I said, you are a paleontologist, worker placing, gathering cubes to do research on dinosaurs, and whoever does the most research wins. So let's go ahead and talk about setup and storage. This game sets up lightning quick. I mean, the game comes with, let me go ahead and reach over here and grab this. Game comes with a storage solution tray inside of it. The wells are a little bit deep for some of this stuff, so like over here, you might want to put those cubes into bags and then put the bags in here, just so you can get them out a lot easier, because otherwise you're going to be digging in there. Same thing over here with the dice and stuff, but the storage solution works out really great, and it sets up super quick because you have everything here. All you have to do is separate out the cards. You've got this little game mat, and then it comes with two of those. There is one that is the 2-player, 3-player, and then you have this one which is for 4 players, and then you flip it on the back and it's for 5 players. Notice that the amount of worker spots increases for some of those areas. For example, this one goes from a 4 to, or from a 3 to a 4 on the back. So but that's just for that. And then the one where you track your field advancement also has a 2-sided track for that, and there's 2 of those. But the setup is super simple. You get your own little player board, and that player board comes with colored meeples, the color of your board. You get 3 meeples. You get these little, I forget what these are called, the milestone advancements. And these go above or wherever you really want to put it. That was one of the things that I like about games like this, or specifically about this game. And I've played another game where it's like that. I think it was Rush MD I played, where it's like, hey, look, this is how we set it up, but do it how it's optimal for you and whatever works out best for you guys. But the setup is real simple. And then storage, fantastic. It's going to get 2 points from me for setup and storage. Let's talk about the learn and the teach. This was an insanely easy game to learn and teach. Like, it is so very simple, but when we get to the gameplay mechanics, I'm going to just talk about how really interesting the decision-making process is. But it's pretty straightforward. This is a very light game. This is not a heavy worker placement Euro game. As a matter of fact, it's so simple that this could be an introductory. I think this is probably one of the best gateways. I think some people had said that if you wanted a gateway worker placement, Lords of Waterdeep is very easy to learn, and it kind of is. This is actually easier than Lords of Waterdeep to learn. Like, it's so simple, but yet engaging. Being able to play through the game a few times now, I was engaged every single time. This game did not lose me at any point, but we're going to get to that towards the tail end of it. But as far as the learn and the teach goes, another 2 points, because this game is so simple to learn and to teach. And the rule book, that's what I was going to talk about. This rule book is so well put together. And the reason why is because it is so detailed about every single spot, but yet not so detailed that you get tired of reading. Like, I feel like the reading on this is very light, but at the same time, almost dropped that, it goes through every single worker spot. It tells you what you can do. It also tells you examples of what you can't do. And it gives you examples of every single worker placement spot and how they work. I was left with no questions whatsoever. I kind of got everything. Of course, you're going to want to go back and reference just in case, but everybody does that when you're first learning a game. So this game just was so simple, and that rulebook is great, so that's another 2 points. Let's go ahead and talk about the visual and the components. And I will say that right off the bat, this is where the game just loses people, because it just doesn't look appealing. Now, the front artwork, like this dinosaur on the front cover, is really well painted, very nice. I feel like the illustrations are good, but just kind of like, it's on a white box, says Holotype Mesozoic North America. So it's like, I'm not 1,000% sure people would see this and want to play it. Like, I don't feel like it's an appealing cover. It's not ugly, it's not bad artwork. I just think that, like, looking at it, you wouldn't go, that looks like a board game that I really want to play. But yeah, the even on the components on the when you go onto the track over here, or not the track, but the worker placement spots, bring it a little closer. It's not the prettiest. I mean, it's fine. Even the way it's kind of like organized, it's just got these big square spots, or it's interesting. So, like, I don't think this is top tier artwork for sure, and I just don't think visually it's the most appealing game. But, that when it comes to visuals, that's fine. And then you've got this, which represents, like, research. You've got these white cubes. You've got green cubes. And it's just cubes. It's like Lords of Waterdeep. You know what I mean? They're just cubes. It's got some dice. And then the dice all have fossils on them. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. They're fine. I think component quality is fine. Like, the cards are good quality. They're okay quality, I suppose. The cubes are just wooden cubes. So at the end of the day, I think this is where it just takes a hit. And for me, I'm giving this, I want to give it a 1, just because I think that this is the worst part of the game. Is definitely the components. Like, it's not appealing. It's not visually nice. Even this right here is so simple, and look at the back. It's just nothing on the back. It's just white. But yeah, so like, this right here it's okay. So I'm just gonna give it 1 point for that. And that's it for components and visuals, artwork and stuff like that. Let's talk about the gameplay and the mechanics. So, like I said, this is a worker placement game, and on your turn, you get to place one of your workers. You start off the game with 2 workers. You start off with a paleontologist, who's a large worker, and you start off with a little assistant, who's a smaller worker. And then in the top of your department, your laboratory, this is a grad student. They have like a little graduation cap on, and they're kind of like the medium worker. And so you have the large, medium, and small. Your medium worker, you unlock it later. But there's a cool mechanism that they have for their worker placement. So I have the 2-player game set up right here. And so what happens is, in a 2-player game, these workers can actually, like in most games, it's like, okay, well, he took the spot, so I'm going to have to go over here. But in this game, you can actually bump workers out and send them back to their to your opponent's board. And so what that does is, it's if you have the large worker can bump other large workers. It can bump medium workers and small workers. So the large workers can bump any worker. Kind of reminds me of like the grande worker in viticulture. But in that game, the grande worker just takes the spot. He doesn't actually remove the worker. In this game, when you do that, it removes the worker off the spot and it puts it back into your opponent's lounge, where they put their workers to be used. And that's a really cool mechanic, because what happens is that oftentimes in the game you're going to find yourself bumping their people, but you just gave them back another worker. So in this game, when you run out of workers, and your opponent doesn't bump you off of the worker placement spots, you have to spend an action, a turn, recalling your workers. And then when you do that, you grab one white research cube and put it into your research cube spot. And then you get your workers back. And then that's the end of your turn. You don't get to do any other actions. But if you were here, and let's say that I had both my workers out, if my opponent comes in and bumps my worker off, on my turn I don't have to recall because I have a worker now that I can use. So you have to be very strategic with when you bump people off the spots, which I love that about this game. That whole like, well, this guy can bump this guy, and it's like, should I use my grad student or should I use my paleontologist? Well, if I use my paleontologist, my large worker, then the grad student can't bump the large worker. The grad student is the medium worker. He can only bump the other mediums and small workers. So then it's kind of like, okay, so instead of doing the paleontologist, let me do the grad. So just in case I need to take that action again, I can use my other worker to bump my grad student off, and then I can use my grad student somewhere else. Another cool mechanic with the workers is that each worker has basically an action that it can do. So for example, if I go to the university library, I'm allowed to do some research and grab research cubes, and these are the cubes you use to pay for your dinosaur cards. And so if I were to put my small worker there, I would get 2 white cubes. But if I were to place a grad student, the medium, or the large worker, the paleontologist, it would get me 3 cubes instead, right? Then on top of that, there is a certain point in the game where you're going to be able to get upgrade tiles that you can add into your laboratory, and when you put those upgrade tiles, they upgrade the actions that you can take. So the medium worker and the large worker are able to take upgraded actions. I feel like I played a game recently where that was the case, and it was just kind of like a, hey, this worker will do this, but if you use this worker, you get more. Which one was that? I kind of forgot. It was a cool game though. I really enjoyed it, and I liked that mechanic of being able to gain more for different types of workers. But yeah, that's the cool mechanic that I really love about the worker placement. And then you're being strategic about, hey, you know what? I can bump that worker off to take that spot, but I would rather just do it and put the worker here. And instead of bumping them, because now they're going to have to recall and waste a turn, and then when they recall, it'll be my turn, and then I could just take that spot back. So with whatever worker I have left over. So I think it's really cool, man. It provides some really interesting choices and some really interesting interactions with other players and with their workers and things like that. I thought that was a very cool mechanic. Now, in this game, the 5 worker placement spots are going to allow you to do certain things. So in the game, you're going to start off the game with like 5 specimen cards. Those specimen cards are like dinosaurs, brachiosaurus. They come in different types, like sauropods and theropods and genosaurs, and so like and there's marine animals as well. And if you have the expansion, they have like the pterodactyls and stuff. And so each of these dinosaurs has a cube cost. And so in order to gather cubes, you have to place your worker up here in this corner over here. This field expedition will let you take a card, and when you take that card, it'll have the dice printed on the bottom. Like this one has 4 green dice. So then I would use that action of that card to roll 4 dice, and then I would gain green research cubes equal to the amount that I rolled. And so I just, it's in those moments where you get some green cubes, and then now you're like, okay, now that I have some green cubes, there's this little dinosaur that has 3 green cubes and 2 white cubes. So now on my next turn, in order to pay for him, I would need to place one of my workers on the university to get the white research cubes into my slot. And now, with the green cubes that I had gotten before, and with the white cubes, I can pay for these cards. Each card that you pay for has victory points printed on it. Like this guy's got 6 victory points. That's what he's worth. But you've also got, every time you research a dinosaur, you can't use your small worker to do that. You'll have to use your medium or your large worker. And the medium worker or the large worker, when he goes there, you can actually put a dinosaur down, pay the value cost of it back to the the resource piles, and then put the dinosaur in your little research thing area over here. There's global objectives, which apply to everybody, and the cool part about those objectives is like for example, one of these objectives says I need 6 carnivores, but if I look over here, I only have 4 carnivores. But if I wanted to get a 5th and 6th carnivore, I could pay 5 white cubes back to the supply, and then I can use the carnivores from my opponent to meet the criteria. Then you take one of these little circle discs off of your thing and you put it onto one of the cards, and by so doing, you reveal a point value. Whatever the rightmost point value is what you end up getting at the end of the game. And in one of the games, my opponent beat me because they were able to place one of those discs at the last second. And they were able to get an extra 5 points, which gave them the victory in the end. Everybody's going to get 2 personal objectives. You're allowed to look at your hand and go, which of these 2 personal objectives can I meet, and pick one, and then the other one gets discarded. The global objectives everybody can use, but once somebody claims one, nobody else can claim that same objective. Then you could always draw more specimens here. If you use your large worker, you can draw 3 specimen cards and discard one. Or if you use your small worker, you draw 2 and then discard 1. Another thing you can do is that you can draw the top card of the discard pile, or there is a spot here which allows you to discard cards from your hand. Now, that doesn't seem like a cool action because it's like, why would I want to do that? Well, that's because at the end of the game, any dinosaurs that you have unresearched in your hand, you will have to lose points according to their research cost, which is like the white cubes cost. And so that can end up making you lose a lot of points. So you don't want any dinosaurs in your hand at the end of the game. So using this is a good way to cull them out of your hand, get them into the discard so you don't have to pay for them. And then last thing you can do over here is the museum collection is to trade resource cubes. And so there's always like a certain amount of cubes there. And so for example, if I needed a purple cube to pay for a dinosaur, I could trade 3 green cubes here and then take the purple cube out from there and put it into my inventory. You have a limited inventory of how many fossil storage cubes you can have at one time, and then you can do this trading as frequently as much as you want. Depending on the worker, if you use a small worker, you can do one or the other of the actions where you can maybe trade in like a purple cube and get 2 research cubes, 2 white research cubes. So really cool. The worker spots are so easy. And then also sometimes when you do a field expedition, you'll eventually flip over a card that has a little trace fossil symbol on it. That's that little dinosaur footprint. When you unveil that, you're allowed to take a trace fossil and you can actually add this to one of your dinosaurs to make it worth more points. So this one will add +2 points to the value of one of the dinosaurs. So that's what trace fossils do. They're pretty good, and then they score you extra points at the end of the game. And so you just keep playing round after round after round after round until eventually somebody pays for their last dinosaur. So this little track keeps track of how many dinosaurs have been played. So every time somebody plays a dinosaur using the publishing journal, you can move it up 1 space. On here are printed some symbols. If you land on a star, then you're allowed to take one of your milestone advancements. If it lands on the blue circular spot, that allows you to take all of this and discard it and then replace it with a fresh set of 3 green, 2 blue, and 1 purple, which is pretty interesting. Lot of cool, I thought there was a lot of cool choices in the game, and the whole worker placement mechanic was really, really great. But at the same time, I feel like it's just such a light game that I could see people not enjoying the gameplay and the mechanics of it because it's like, this is too light for my taste. But because of this, it makes the game feel a lot more competitive, a lot more interesting in terms of the worker placement. But I could see some people maybe not enjoying it because it was just a little bit too light, and maybe not their specific flavor. Plus also the theme, maybe some people just don't like dinosaurs. So who knows? So I think that I would give it like a 1.5 for the gameplay and the mechanics. just because, like I said, it is super, super good, but I think almost to its own detriment, where it's like it's so light that over time this could get boring. Right now I'm enjoying it, but who knows, maybe over time I just get tired of it, you know what I mean, because it's just so light. It doesn't feel as challenging, but I still think that the worker placement mechanics of this are so good that I would give it a higher score when it comes to that. So 1.5 is where I'm at as far as gameplay mechanics. And then we go to the last part, which is just fun factor, theme, and replayability. So I already talked about replayability. I think that replayability is high for now, but I could see it going down. I think that replayability is good though, because you've got a lot of different objective cards, personal objectives, and there's a lot of global objectives, and there's like little mini expansions that you can add, so each time you play it, those things are different. You can also edit. One of the things that I thought was really cool about it is that you can actually change the length of the game with the tracks. So they said, hey, look, if you're playing like a 5-player game and you just feel like it's too long, then you can use one of the other tracks to actually shorten the game. So for example, in a 5-player game, you need to have 36 dinosaurs in order for the game to end. But if you wanted to, you could use the 3-player track in a 5-player game and only after 24 dinosaurs. I don't know exactly how that'll affect the gameplay. It might make it worse because you don't feel like you can get a lot done. But that's cool that they have those options. I think because of that, it makes this game very versatile, which makes it replayable. I think it's got plenty of replayability. I am looking forward to them expanding this a little bit, because I feel like with some expansions it might freshen up the game a little bit. But for the most part, replayability is pretty solid. I think the fun factor, it is very fun. And theme is great. It's dinosaurs. Everybody loves dinosaurs. Even though it's more so paleontology than dinosaurs, you're not necessarily becoming a dinosaur or doing anything with dinosaurs. You're actually just researching them. Like the pictures of these dinosaurs here, it's not like these dinosaurs are alive and well and you're making a Jurassic Park. These dinosaurs are literally you're just doing the research about them, about their fossils, and you're collecting the fossils in order to put them together and then doing the research thematically. But again, it's just cubes, so the theme is like a little bit abstract, you know what I mean? Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot abstract, like it's super abstract, but I think with the cards it doesn't make it that abstract. But it's good. It's a great game. I really enjoyed this one, and I think I give it like another 1.5 for the replayability, theme, fun factor. So with everything factored in and everything added up, I'm sitting at about an 8, and that's a solid game, man. It's enough to win one of my coveted silver lunch boxes, right? But yeah, this is definitely a game that is, I think, worth picking up if you can find a copy of it. Very fun, very light, great gateway game to worker placement, and I think a lot of people really have enjoyed it. I've been engaging with people on Facebook, asking people if they've played it, and a lot of people are like, man, this is just a staple at my house now, because people just really enjoy playing it. So that's it for Holotype, man. You guys let me know in the comment section, does this look interesting to you, or is this maybe a game that you might pass on? But either way, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a very good game, solid 8 out of 10. And let me know, what is your favorite dinosaur themed game? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video, and I will catch you guys on the flippity flip. Peace out. See you guys later. Holotype. It's also got discoverers list. It's like a list of all the people that discovered things. I don't even know what that is. Maybe that's the people who backed the game. Anyway, peace out.